Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Boom Studios, we're going to be talking about Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue number 8, written by Jason Aaron, art by Leila Del Duca, colors by Tamra, Bonvillain, and letters by Andworld Design. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. Eventually I'd like to hit 1K, it'd be nice. Hit the bell. I don't have a schedule. If you want to see when I drop reviews, the bell will keep you in touch. Alright, so Once Upon a Time, we were in the arc of the rise and fall of Gorgonzola, I think it is. This would be like book 2 into that series, into that arc or whatever, but basically it's a city that Messi built, and it's the city of love. Fair warning, if you're not open-minded and stuff like that, this book has a lot of open-mindedness ideas, so if you're not into that, this might not be the book for you. But the city that they made, Gorgonzola, is basically a city developed all around the idea of love, and not just the concept of love, everything that goes into it. But at this point, it's kind of working. So we start out, and basically it's like a couple that are trying to add another to their coupleness. I don't know what you're saying. As they're going through their conversation, they are greeted by Wendy, who we saw in the last issue was affected by this mist stuff, and now she's coming through. We see she is like super crazy, like the mist has made her going wild, like rabid, and she's not really coherent, but basically like straight going to violence kind of thing. She attacks the group here. The book just jumps over, and they already have her like captured, and they don't know what's wrong with her. And there was a conversation about the mist from this group. Everybody was basically okay in that situation. They did get hurt, but nobody died or anything like that. We do get Wendy for a coherent second, I would say, and she happens to say one line that affects Messi, and it's there's only one path, and it's basically the Wasteland Rangers or whatever. Messi kind of goes nuts because she feels like Wendy went and saw somehow the Wasteland Rangers because it's something from that Bible or whatever, the Scoutmaster's Guide. There's a conversation between Messi and Mez, and they're basically trying to figure out what's going wrong. Did Wendy get in contact with these people? Wendy says she didn't. It was the engine room and the mist. Mez takes a break, and she ends up going with Callista, which is kind of her other. Sometimes when Callista's in town, kind of thing. At this time, they're on like a scheduled dating service kind of thing. So it's her time, even though they're going through this crazy situation, and it's kind of this conversation about like that Mez, she needs this time to take the weight off her shoulders. Callista just kind of prides her in how she deals with all this, handles everything. While this is going on, we have Maceo, and he's down in the engine room trying to figure out what's wrong, and he even starts kind of talking to himself in a weird way because it seems like the mist is retracting before he can actually get a sample, even though he knows that's crazy. The world really doesn't work like that. We get this kind of flashback scene right before the Gorgonzola, Mez and Messi, and how they were like finally meshing and connecting, and based on how much love they share and stuff like that. We kind of see like more of the early days of Gorgonzola, and it's a conversation between a bunch of the people that in the wasteland. There wasn't a lot of love. It's the end of the world. It's apocalyptic stuff. So to come across a city where it's built solely on love, it's an abstract idea, and the book kind of plays around with that idea. You assume it's just sex related or whatever, and it's really not. They have these like friendship cuddles where they just kind of lounge. I mean, it's not really like couple related. They just kind of cuddle with random people kind of thing. There is a problem that presents, there is a problem that I have with the book, but we'll get there at the end. It's a small thing, but this isn't going, I think this is a 4 issue arc. So we jump over and we get this scene where it's a hot tub situation where all these different tenants of the Gorgonzola are just chilling in the hot spring. This one girl happens to go in the hot spring and she accuses somebody of grabbing her ass when she gets in the hot tub. It's kind of like there's no issue with people grabbing each other, but it's kind of like at Gorgonzola, you have to ask before. She accuses this one dude, even though his hands were out of the water when it happened, and the whole group kind of jumps on him, asking him to apologize. Eventually, we see that it wasn't him at all. Like it happens again, and the second time, he really had his hands out of the water, and they still try and blame him. We do see this eventually because eventually one of the guys gets grabbed, and but it looked like somebody was in the water that's affected by the mist. We get Calista and Messi on their date. Eventually, they're kind of making out, and as they're making out, we get this like strange, ominous person that's in the background. As soon as that happens, they start seeing the mist come near them, and when that happens, all of a sudden they're covered in like a billion rats. So the book jumps over back to the Gorgonzola, and Messi is talking to Maceo and explaining what happened with the rats. And Maceo's having a hard time understanding the whole situation, not really believing her, but not believing her at the same time kind of thing. Because she doesn't have any marks from the rats. Like, even though they didn't bite her or whatever, they should have had like marks or indications, and neither person had any kind of marks. At this point, it's just leading me to believe that the mist is kind of making them hallucinate, like the rats weren't really there. That Wendy girl was seeing some stuff that she didn't know about. And that's kind of where we're at with Messi and Messi. They're basically like, look, we need to fix the situation. There's talk about leaving the city, but Macio's like, we built this out of love, from nothing, no. While this is going on, Wendy eventually escapes out of her constraints somehow, because at this point she had kind of calmed down and she had just been sleeping. So they probably like had her on a less, they probably didn't have her restrained. But eventually she gets out and escapes. And all around the town of the Gorgonzola, it was one of the hiccups of getting into Gorgonzola is there are these vines with thorns. Wendy tried to climb them supposedly and didn't make it. She died. On her, she has this like banner plaque, and it says, "You do not deserve to be happy," and it's a message, specifically to Mez, like some more Wasteland Ranger stuff. Then it goes to the next day, and Calista, she's had enough, and she takes off. She says, she tells Mez that they need to leave, there's something bad's coming kind of thing. And we just go back to that situation of Messi and Mez talking about should they or shouldn't they. But eventually they do decide to stay, and you can see that they're staying with precautions. They show like gas masks and stuff like that. But that's kind of where this issue leaves off at. There is a question of doubt that comes up between Messi and Mez, especially because all these hallucination stuff. So there's been a couple times where they both doubt each other and stuff. It also is the first time that they've had to do like a funeral kind of thing because somebody died. And it wasn't something they planned for. They never thought somebody was going to die kind of thing. But that's where this issue leaves off. There's no cover hint or anything on the next issue. Like I said, I think we have 2 more issues. Now the problem I have that I mentioned earlier is that the community would love and everything, and it works in this book and everything, but the one thing that hasn't happened is that, not everybody's going to be okay with just being groped or whatever, and even if you say that, it does present, problems after the no is said kind of thing. But like I said, it's a small thought or whatever when I was reading the book, like, well, what if that guy said no when that girl wanted to kiss him or whatever, and like, and then there's like jealousy and all kind of stuff. I don't know. That's my review. Let me know down below what you're thinking about this book. Are you still into it? I'm kind of ready to get past this so we can get to the next part, because the next part is supposed to be really big. They've showed us, bits and pieces. I don't know. But that's what I got for you guys. Bye.